step into your erotic aliveness today. And we're doing day 2, right? So day 1, yesterday, which most of you seem to have attended. Also sending out love to those watching maybe on Facebook or watching the replay. Equal love to you. And I hope you can join in the practices that we're going to be doing. Because it's definitely powerful when we have people all over the world that are doing these practices together. And actually, I'm not even sure what practice I'm going to do yet with you guys. I have some ideas, but I want to let it flow. I think I know what I'm going to do today and tomorrow, but always, yeah. Always flowing. Yeah, thank you, Betsy Bull, right? You're amazing. I need reminding of like really simple things sometimes. So that's life, right? You know. So yeah, okay, right. Getting on with today. We're talking about trauma, we're talking about sexual trauma, and we're going to be going into like a certain perspective on trauma that's, you know, we all know about embodied working on things, I think, you know, embodied traumas and so on, right? Basically working on the body level. And it's really interesting that I don't know if anybody follows stuff to do with mental health. Oh, I just want to make sure everybody's got in that wanted to get in, because yesterday I removed a couple of people at the end just because I wanted to chat with my assistant alone for a minute while still in the meeting. So hopefully that hasn't stopped anyone from attending today. So yeah, the World Health Organization and UN have just come out, right, when we're in the middle of all this craziness and war and everything that's going on. And they've basically said like the whole like psychiatric model of dealing with mental health like is abusive, it needs to change. I don't know if anybody else here follows Dr. Jessica Taylor on Facebook. Really interesting stuff. She's talking about like there's a move towards just changing this whole psychiatric system, which basically is just like labeling people as like incurable, leading to a lot of discrimination against people suffering from trauma. Like literally like a childhood friend of mine who like, she's amazing. She's like professional windsurfer, right? Like does so much cool things in her life, professional at a lot of different sports. Was really severely abused as a child, and she just rang me up just a couple of months ago just saying like, Jade, I just don't know what to do. I've literally spent like 10,000 euros on therapy and I'm still just so angry. I still just hate myself. And it's just everything about what this model shows us, that, you know, we're bad because we're angry. You know, we're bad because of this and that. And it literally gets us to self-hate. And then people get stuck in this never-ending cycle with drugs, medications. You know, I've got her working on my course now, and she seems a lot better off now. Thank goodness, because she's like, I've known her since we were like 7. She said literally like, Jade, you were my hero all the time I grew up. You were always the one doing all the naughty things. You were always the rebel that was like leading the way, you know. Anyways. Just a funny story. I've been a little bit of a rebel all my life. Shh, okay. So let's get started with our slideshow and my PowerPoint, which I've been working on today. I don't know if I'm going to cover all of it because I do have a kind of hard stop at 8. So love, trauma, and sexual healing. And when we look at sexual healing from the Tao perspective, and everybody knows, I'm presuming you all know what sex magic is. I'd be very surprised if anyone watching this here didn't know what sex magic is. I'm sure you've all heard of sexual healing, but when we talk about it from the Taoist perspective, you've probably started to get the impression this is a science that we're talking about. It's not just a kind of abstract concept. So emotions are movements of energy. None are bad or good, but they are positively and negatively charged. But positive is not good. Negative is not bad. It's really important to remember this. So problems arise when these energies stop flowing and are blocked because of emotional repression. So the big problem is that we're not taught to deal with our negative emotions in a healthy way. And we're told to kind of toxically go into positive ones, or like happy, 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 everything's good, everything's okay. Da, 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 da. And it's very monotonous, boring, to be perfectly honest. So I guess you guys know who I am already. I might just talk a little bit about my own sexual healing journey. Indeed, me and the Master Chia. For those who didn't pick that up, I'm just going to read one sentence out of this, which is the Taoist practices that we're looking at are taught in specific ways and in specific orders, and malpractice can result in serious and permanent health problems. Obviously, if you do them correctly, the results are absolutely amazing. So everything I'm covering here is based on the work that I have developed and evolved with my clients. If you're interested to follow this path with me, get in touch to apply for a consultation. I think that I'm going to put my WhatsApp number in the chat. I also have a link to book directly. So just to let you know, this is a 15-minute consultation. There's absolutely nothing for you to buy in the consultation. You would be able to choose to book a future call to discuss whether working together would be a possibility or not. But it's purely basically to be able to be able to sort of pinpoint any kind of blockages you have in your way, and just set out a game plan about how you can start moving forward. So this is a highly complex system that works by developing your skills to cultivate, transmute, refine, and store energies. And yesterday we did a little bit of cultivation, transmutation, moving, and so on, which was really cool and really fun. This was a kind of like, we can say, like a spiritual energy, the spiritual manifestation of orgasm and the spiritual manifestation of love, right? So yeah, that was really fun to do, you know, and to introduce many people who'd never done it before as well. So these are potent and volatile energies that include sexual energy that we tap into that can harm as well as heal. So it's not recommended to do this really without a guide. So that said, the benefits of embarking on this path are often felt in weeks of starting. This includes healing from debilitating mental conditions, and the impact is felt on physical and sexual health as well. Because this work is holistic, its powerful effects are felt through every layer of life. For example, CEOs that I work with literally find benefits to their whole company within weeks of starting. So let's just see.
Hey guys, I'm Magdalena, and
so
I would like to share with you my experience of working with Jade. I signed up for her course, the Multi-Orgasmic Toolkit, because I wanted to become a better version of myself. I wanted to be more connected with my body and to feel more pleasure. And in general, I'm interested in sacred sexuality, and I really resonated with Jade's content. So that's why I signed up. But honestly, I didn't know that I will get so much value. This course was really transformational and healing. I needed to go deep into myself, and there was a lot of work around our emotions, around removing the blockages. And week after week, layer after layer, I started to feel more connected to myself, and I started to feel the energy moving. I started to feel more alive and more energized. We got great tools to work with, like the 6 healing sounds, smiling to the organs, the microcosmic orbit. And it's about the practice and about the consistency if you want to see the results. There is a work to do, but it's definitely worth it because it will completely change your life. I also started to attract more abundance and to manifest things quickly. And there were also some major shifts in my life. The things that were not in alignment with myself just disappeared, and I started to attract new opportunities, new people. I am more in alignment with myself, and also my nervous system is more regulated. And Jade is a great coach and a great person. I can definitely recommend you to work with her. She has a lot of wisdom, but she's very natural, real, and humble. You just feel good in her presence, and she's always been there for us. So guys, if you want to experience some magic in your life, and if you are committed to your growth, this course will be really a good thing for you. Hey guys.
Next one. Okay, yeah, I love the way she said the word magic there, because I really believe this is about a systematic way to practice magic, which means working in the energy field. Now, I'm just curious, guys, right? If I ask you, to who here does it, if it makes sense to you, the following statement, give me a 9 in the chat. Because obviously most sex coaches talk about sex as if it's this kind of little thing we have on the side, right? You know, and how we can maybe get like more pleasure, but in a way which is quite disconnected from the rest of our lives. Yeah. When I say that, you know, sexual energy is absolutely central to everything. So you could hear the lady there talking about how she's manifesting more abundance. Things are disappearing out of her life that didn't belong there. Right. When I say like sexual energy is the creator, divine, main energy, the most powerful form of spiritual energy, is absolutely central to everything. Does this make sense to you? Give me a 9 in the chat. I'm just curious what perspective people are coming from. If you're not feeling that, obviously, you know, that's fine as well. Oh, my pig is trying to open the door. She's such a funny creature. Hopefully she doesn't come in because she just trashes it. Who's that? Is that the dog or the pig? No, Amelia, you can't come in. You're just gonna make a mess. Please. Oh, she's so cute, but she just literally trashes everything if she's. Yeah, so I'm seeing over half of the people get that statement. And if you don't get that statement, that's cool too. Yeah, but I do have these extra resources, and I definitely recommend drop me that message on WhatsApp. Okay. And basically, so I'm guessing these are all 9s, right? I know the pig, the infamous pig. One time I was doing a live and they've literally like knocked out the internet, you know, and destroyed my internet for like almost 24 hours. So I'm just going to put here, if you're interested in more info, one of my consultations, here's my WhatsApp number. Just send me a message there. Okay. So, okay, let's start having a look at what is trauma, just to make sure we're all on the same page with this. So on one level, trauma is unprocessed emotions, feelings, and experiences. You know, so it's not about a particular experience we have, it's to do with how we process it. So a lot of focus is put onto working through it in the head, but this generally leaves issues unresolved and even psychiatric diagnosis, right? So a lot of people are being diagnosed with these various personality disorders, trauma disorders. I mean, I can't really speak of things like maybe extreme disorders like psychopathy that would be probably viewed in Chinese medicine, maybe as like forms of possession. But the majority of these kind of things people are being diagnosed with is just basically, you know, it's trauma. And I mean, even one of my clients is actually a psychiatrist, psychologist. He's about 80 years old now. He's called Dr. Mario Marone. You can probably see his testimonials on my page, you know, and he just said, look, all of this stuff, they call it this name, that name, so on and so forth. It's just trauma that needs to be healed, you know. And unfortunately, it seems like in the UK, we're going a little bit down that whole psychiatric route, which I think is just really, really unhelpful. And I really hope what the WHO has said is going to start encouraging back to actually deal with trauma instead of just labeling people. So we're looking here at an ancient alternative. So ancient people understood that trauma gets stored in the body and the internal organs, that it was the result of an overload of emotions that could not be resolved and started to block the alchemical flow of the body. I mean, if you look at people in, even just people today in more traditional societies, like I always got really struck by those videos of Palestinian women mourning for someone who had died, and the way they were wailing and the way that they were moving, you know, and they're using these sounds to really like just process the emotions and release them out of the body, you know, as some of them will have lost their own children and so on. This is just an example, like, you know, in many kinds of, you know, even if you've seen like a dog, for example, get hit by a car and survive it, hopefully, you know, and what will they do? This actually happened to me when I was with a dog. It got hit by a car. The dog was like, oh, and it just looked like it was gonna, you know, die. What was it doing? It was making noise. It was moving. It was panting. These are what we say in Tantra, 3 major ways to get trauma out of the body. By the time I got to the vet was like, what's wrong with the dog? Why have you put it here? You know? So trauma can be caused by anything that causes your existence to deviate from what you are naturally programmed to experience. You know, we're not talking about getting raped down a dark alleyway. Sure, this can be trauma. We're talking about things like a little baby not getting hugs when it needs to get hugged. You know, what we're programmed and come into the world to receive. We come into the world programmed to receive love, to receive physical affection. When we're not getting there, that is a trauma. Just forget everything else. That is a trauma. You know, trauma then changes your programming, causing you to behave differently and become like a different person. So what Master Chia actually says about this Taoist work, this is all about coming back into your original programming. As long as these blockages are there, they will cause and influence you to act in ways that aren't authentic to you. And they will literally block you from your power and your purpose, you know? And the traumas, they can be in there and repressed and maybe affecting us on more subtle levels. So we're kind of living on this level of just coping and surviving as opposed to thriving. The traumas also can be kind of coming up, right? You know, this happens to all of us, happens to me, you know, that stuff comes up, we start processing it, everything goes really, woo, you know, we might feel for a little while we're someone that's not us, and then we come back to self, you know, hopefully if we know how to do that. And it's like, what I do feel is it's like life is constantly pushing us to up level, up level, up level. But whenever we go through that level, we hit a wall of emotion, which can seem horrific, and we can move up or we can get stuck on that wall of emotion. And when we get stuck there for years, that's when we have these things like depression, anxiety, you know, we're feeling stuck in a life we're not happy with. When we up level, which generally involves, you know, opportunity and fear, because it always comes with opportunity that there's fear, you know, and it's like we can choose the opportunity and the fear goes away, or we can choose the fear and the opportunity goes away. So like her name is Camilla said there in that video, you know, this is about, you know, doing work. It's about being committed to self-development. It's about creating discipline. But I do think it's divine that, you know, it'd be great if we could just take a pill and get all these results. But the fact of putting in this work, putting in this self-discipline, it's a deep act of self-love. And it's really like a way, if this is where you're at, if you're one of these people that, you know, does want to put in discipline, that does want to actually bring about amazing, incredible life effects in your life, that you want to literally, like she said, become the best person you possibly can be, you know, this is basically, yeah, this is basically it. So as long as the blockages are, yeah, sorry, I read that already. Okay, right. Traumas and sexuality. So sexual energy is the basic energy that creates us. If you didn't see yesterday and you're confused by this, I definitely recommend go back and watch it. Then this is going to make a lot more sense. Once we are born, it remains in our body. So the sexual energy arises in the main acupuncture point called the huiyin, which is right between the anus and the genitals. And from there, it rises up the body. Traumas and unprocessed emotions block the flow. So imagine this meridian going right up the center of your body, through your heart, into your pineal gland, and all these different unprocessed emotions just in the body, you know, right under the heart. We've got the fear of love by the pubic bone. We've got sexual shame and guilt. We've got every other thing all sitting in there, sitting up here in the throat, you know, and it's stopping the rise of that energy. We can say through the 3 dantians, or the 7 chakras, whichever system you want to use. It's the same energy, different ways of describing it. So when the energy continues to arise, what it does is amplify. Guys, sexual energy amplifies. It can amplify happiness, or it can amplify traumas. Listen, when you have all these like tantra groups with these famous creepy guys that are all ending up on, you know, whatever article is being called an abuser and so on, right? What's happened is these are normal guys that did not work on their emotions. They've started raising the sexual energy up the body, and maybe they were like 1% creepy. And if we're honest, every one of us is 1% creepy, right? But what they've done is they've amplified that creepy, and suddenly they're 20% creepy, which is quite different from being 1% creepy. I mean, that's just an example. Anything can get amplified by sexual energy. I think a great example is Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. Amber Heard as well, being someone labeled with all these diagnoses. These are just two traumatized people. They got together, they were really in love. There was drugs and trauma involved. What's happened? The sexual energy has actually amplified all their traumas. It's turned into this massive dysfunctional relationship, then got, you know, broadcasted out and onto the whole world, unfortunately. But I'm sure we know people who've fallen in love, everything seems so perfect, and then it just went crazy. Maybe one of them even ended up in jail or God knows what. Yeah, this happens, right? And this is what we're talking about, you know, domestic abuse, abuse in relationships, unprocessed emotions. So if you're in a loving, safe environment and you know how to process the emotions, this is a great place to do it. I think if we're still in our original programming, we naturally know what to do in this loving and safe place. But the problem is that if you're not able to process it, it's obvious how it can really become like an issue, can sabotage your relationship and have a devastating effect on you. So it's like a huge block to intimacy as well. So I did this yesterday. I'm going to do this again, and I'm going to say, can anybody guess what happened there? So 5 weeks into my course, and the transformation is already beyond anything I could have possibly imagined. Before starting, I knew I needed something fully embodied, based in reality, not bypassing sexual energy, and true to my own experience. I had no idea this actually existed until I experienced it. This is the change all of us are seeking and needing if we truly want to be free and live this life as true expression of who we really are. And he's saying, and the sex, amazing. Yeah, so this gentleman had basically been married for a number of years, but the last 2 years had just been an absolute standoff, passive aggression with the wife. Yeah, there was a young child involved. The crazy thing is, yeah, the guy was like a CEO, like a, you know, former sort of like one of those banking cokeheads or whatever. Yeah, but he'd done years of spiritual work. Yet he was in this situation with his wife where anyone opened their mouth and all that came out to each other was passive aggression, right? So at week 5, by the way, is before we even started to work with the sexual energy as well. You know, he actually messaged me and he was like, Jade, we've literally had more sex in the last 2 weeks than we did in the last 2 years. And now suddenly we're having this amazing sex. All the stuff that bothered me about her before, I just don't even care about it, you know? And what happened was this guy had been doing all this spiritual work, and he'd been, you know, transcending and it's basically spiritual bypassing, and thought he'd overcome all his anger years ago. What had happened is, like many spiritual people, he did this amazing job of repressing his anger. So the anger was coming out as passive aggression, right? If you're interested more in this, check out that video I've got on my YouTube and in my Facebook group, where I do a whole like session like this, talking about how to deal with anger. And once we cleared out these blockages, everything started going. Everything now back with the wife on track. And actually, it was the wife who wasn't working with me. It was her business that's actually literally exploded and gone through the roof and become massive just in a short period of a month or so. So all traumas are sexual traumas. All blocked energy, pretty much, I never want to make a complete generalization, but most of it will affect your sexual energy because it will stop it from flowing up your body and block the alchemy process. Because everything is sexual energy. We're made out of sexual energy. We wouldn't exist without sex. You know, I think it's time people stopped pretending and just started being real and natural about this again. So when the energy is blocked below the navel, you are stuck in a low experience of life with little ability to access the reserves of energy that you have. So remember that diagram from yesterday, the first energy center just below the navel. If the energy center is not even getting, if the energy is not even getting there, this is like the kind of person that's like, you know, it's not unusual. I speak to people that are watching porn like multiple times every day, masturbating multiple times every day. This is mega blocked energy, and your health will really, really suffer. Your energy, your creativity, everything is mega going to suffer. You know, even if it gets into that first energy center, but it doesn't come to the second one in the heart. So when the energy is blocked below the heart, for example, a fear of love here, the most typical block below the belly button will be shame and guilt about sexuality. So look at that. That just blocks you out from everything. You know, so when it's blocked here, so that's very often a fear of love. There's a major dysfunction in your system that will affect your health, your creativity, and your ability to love, be conscious, and to be spiritual. So this is really important because we were talking yesterday and we did a practice as well around balancing love and sexual energy. So, you know, in Taoism, we say like a relationship that's all love and no sex is not good. And if it's all sex and no love, it's not good either. You want the 50-50. You know, and that's what this is all about, this connection. It's really important to be functional. The great thing is that once the energy is rising up into the lower energy center, hopefully it should then start rising up naturally through, you know, a bit like steam coming up, basically. So bear in mind that blocks can come and go. And even as you clear blockages, deeper layers can resurface. If you have the techniques to work with them on a regular basis, you can clear them as and when they show up. So that's another thing I love about this system. I'm all for going for therapy. I do go for therapies. You know, I love acupuncture. I think that's my big one at the moment. But, you know, other kinds of therapies as well. Coaching. I love having like my own life coach and business coach and everything. But, you know, when you have those techniques to be like, something's gone up, right? I'm going to go in there and hack the energy field. This is like super, super empowering. And once you know how to basically start, once you get the underlying principles, you can start applying this into every area of your life. So for example, I apply it into my business, and magically I've manifested a business coach who actually understands all this stuff and is just incredible and amazing and wonderful, you know, but I think that's no coincidence at all, you know. And funnily enough, someone who's been my client the last month or so, he attended one of these events a couple of months ago and then decided he wanted to like commit to this and do these commit to doing these practices. At the time he was like, I don't have money, right? Which can be, you know, the thing is, if you understand these spiritual principles, you know that there's always little pots of money sitting all around you that the universe has sitting there for you, because when it wants you to do something, you're going to do it. But most of us, we don't know how to call it in because, you know, and I was, you know, and I still work on it, stuck in lack mindset, right? You know, and I have this amazing masterclass about abundance with practices to do, and I gave it to this guy and I said, let's talk again in a couple of weeks, do the practices, let's see what happens, right? And he's basically come back and just been like, Jade, yeah, you're not going to believe this. I've just was offered this job, for $60,000 a year. And I was like, you know, I thought, okay, I'm going to ask for a pay rise, you know, even more. It wasn't that he was offered, he applied for it. That's what it was. And he went for the interview and he said, I want more, I want 62,000. And then he's gone off, he's heard nothing back. Then he's got back to them and they're like, okay, we'll give you the job for 62,000. Now he's just told me they've now just literally like a couple of months into the job, they've given him another pay rise. It's gone up $70,000, right? A year. And, you know, he definitely thinks, and me as well, that it's like, this is these principles of energy we can apply anywhere. I mean, even when I was doing the live masterclass, if you messaged me to ask me about it, and it's one of the classes I decided to send to you, like even literally during the class, one guy is like, Jade, yeah, I lent this guy like 10,000 euros like years ago. I thought I was never going to get it back, and he's just messaged me that he's going to give it back, you know. So it's really incredible, like what starts happening on so many different levels. This is the big thing I'm working on at the moment, you know, with myself, and kind of bringing into everything I'm doing, this thing about manifestation. We can use it absolutely to create and manifest divine, juicy, incredible love that we want, starting off with self-love, you know, when we start getting this whole process of alchemy working properly. So let's look at blockages of energy. So blockages of energy tend to be caused by unprocessed, repressed emotions. So the anger you've tucked away so deep, to be a good person can be destroying your life. And I refer to these as programs. For example, the program that instead of embracing a certain feeling, which is an aspect of yourself, we feel ashamed of it and push it away. Anger is part of you. Fear is part of you. Sadness is part of you. We go around hiding all these parts of ourselves. How can we say we're in love with ourselves when we're not in love with our anger, when we're not in love with our fear? This is just reality. These are just the two sides of the same coin. Most of the spiritual people, the psychology and everything, they're saying, oh, repress your anger. It's just causing like people to get just really raging or really passive aggressive. It's not helpful. And shame, it's like this blanket, you know, that just misty blanket that just throws over everything, that just muddies up everything. You know, whatever you do, just do it with confidence. You know, it's better to make a mistake with confidence than do nothing because you're ashamed and you're afraid. So shame plays a huge role in this. It's not an emotion in itself as such, rather a dynamic that can affect any emotion or feeling, but is the result of being in a bad relation with it and repressing it instead of learning from it. You know, and shame has a major role in blocking the energy. It's almost like the catalyst to block all the energy. Energy blocks take on physical dimension, resulting in lumps and bumps, disease, cancer, etc. This is because we tense around the energy blocks without meaning to. You know, if we've got blocked energy in the heart, we'll tend to kind of come forward like this and hold the heart shut and then get a heart attack. If we're ashamed of the sexual energy, we tend to tense around the groin to kind of keep it down. Again, everything, all the blood and lymph and everything stop flowing, because when we're talking about blocked energy, we're talking about blocked blood, blocked lymph, so on and so forth. This is not just an abstract concept. And then what happens? Prostate problems, cervical cancer, testicular cancer, you name it, because everything's just tense down there. It's not open, you know, inflammation as well. So some energy blocks can have a physical cause, like you can, you know, some people I've worked with, my God, they've been in some crazy accidents or had operations. They have huge scars across their body, like cesareans. It can block your sensitivity, block your ability to have orgasms because it blocks your energy. These can all be worked with and healed. It's actually not that difficult to do that. So yeah, your system, I might go a bit fast through these next slides because, you know, it's just saying here that, like, you know, sometimes we have these really lovely, positive people, and then they just get cancer and die because when you repress your emotions to fit into social norms, it can make you sick, you know. And trying to be a good person, it might feel like it's what you want to do, but it's actually a form of manipulation and inauthenticity as well. You know, of course, like, we want to be polite, we want to be well behaved. Okay, I'm not saying not to, but it's much better this comes from an authentic place of balanced energy, you know. So yeah, and just to say here, like, all emotions come in pairs, they complement each other. We're going to look into that in a moment. So, you know, and you are the resource. So remember that, you know, your body, yeah, the body isn't some mistake that needs, you know, operating on and poisoning and so on to kind of fix it because you've got faulty DNA and God knows what. Everything in your body is perfect. And if you come into harmony and alignment and learn how to use your body, not just physically, but energetically, you know, your body is an alchemical chamber, and it's by investing in yourself that you will create the results that you desire in your life, as the lady just said. So, you know, healing can be used as an excuse not to progress as well. I've done it, definitely. All right. Have you done it too? Give me an 8 in the chat if you've used healing as an excuse not to progress. Let's be honest, you know, there's no shame about it. So without a shift in growth, healing basically does nothing. Yeah, if you get what I'm saying there, right? You know, and I mean, there's a lot of energy coming up right now that's all around, it's all around victim consciousness. Is literally coming up like as an astrological thing, all this energy around victim consciousness. And it really, really needs to be clear, because yeah, we have been victimized, but when we identify as a victim, it just becomes super toxic again. Been there, done that, you know. So if you're open to shifting and taking ownership to release from what is not serving you, which is to challenge yourself from a place of conditional love, unconditional love, as opposed to living in the program of the comfort zone. And comfort zone is nice, and ultimately we need to go from comfort zone to challenging ourselves. Comfort zone, challenging ourselves. But the challenging of ourselves is amazing, because the comfort zone is going to get less and less comfortable if we're not challenging ourselves. So yeah, there are people that would rather be right than progress. Yep, done that too. But the cost of not having a simple process to accelerate your results can be huge. And again, I'm giving out 4 calls. Okay, if you want one of them calls, message me on WhatsApp. Take my WhatsApp number, send me a message. I'm going to get back to you before the end of the week and arrange 15-minute consultation. And yeah, like I said, I can't guarantee to everybody here that we're going to be right, but right to work together. It might not be possible. It might be possible in the future, not now. But if I can't help you, I will try to send you where I think you can get help from. So let's look at understanding emotions, because the emotional world can seem like a complex place. And when we lack the tools to process emotions, we will end up manifesting chaos. Understanding the science of emotions is essential to hone your manifestation skills. Emotions are actually pretty simple when we start to understand how they live in our internal organs and how we can transform them. And we can use intention to build the energies that we want and to clear out any blockages. So this is all about balance, right? And now, I'm guessing you guys know about this. If you don't know about this, you really need my genital reflexology worksheet. So make sure to WhatsApp me and ask me for that genital reflexology worksheet if you don't have this. But essentially, the emotions live in our organs, according to Chinese medicine. This is one level, but it's a very, very important level, because when we start working with these energies of emotions in our organs, that we have these huge transformations. So you can see here, we're going to be working with the blue color. Last time we worked with the green color, with the liver and the element of wood. Now we are working with the kidneys. So you can see here that virtues and positive emotions of the kidneys are peacefulness, stillness, and tranquility. When we then move into the negative, we're talking here about fear, paranoia, and traumas, right? These energies, interestingly enough, also live in the entrance of the vagina and the testicles and the base of the penis as well, because there's reflexology zones in the penis that relate to this. So I want to get on and show you some practices. What we're going to do is we're going to do some more hacking of the energy field, some more transformation. So yeah, like I say here, many people working these issues with psychology are similar, meaning they spend years often going around in circles without a clear result. And this can also be painful and relies on awareness of events and emotions which may not be possible. Through the techniques that I teach you, you can hack straight into that energy field painlessly, avoiding years of therapy or messing around with YouTube videos and freebies, and clear the energy that is stopping you from being you. you know, and to really go back into our original programming and get results with this, it takes, I'm going to say it takes a few months, and it takes a concerted effort, and it takes the right guidance as well, but we can absolutely do this. So let's go to our kidneys, guys. Yeah. If you do not know where are your kidneys, let's get a 6 in the chat. If you do not know where your kidneys are, no shame if you don't know where your kidneys are. Okay. Stick your hands in your lower back, right at the bottom of your rib cage, and your kidneys are there. And actually, you know, we all have these like, what are they called? The back dips in, right? The curve of the spine, right? And actually in Taoism, we try to straighten out that curve in the spine. It makes our body stronger. It also basically is better for the kidneys, because when we're all curved in like that, the kidneys actually get condensed and tightened, so they can't even work properly, right? Now, the kidneys, they also correspond with the adrenal glands, the bladder, the sexual organs, the bones, the bone marrow, the DNA, the brain, the hearing, the sense of sound. Yeah, the kidneys are major. And if your kidneys have got a problem, you know, and I'm not even talking about a medically diagnosed problem, if the energy in your kidneys are weak, yeah, basically, and you get a serious illness, like even something like serious COVID or whatever the diseases running around right now are, yeah, you're in trouble. Yeah. But if your kidneys are strong and you get whatever this disease is, you're going to get through much, much faster, right? Now, the kidneys also contain this energy called Jing, and Jing is important to know about because we're kind of born with this lump of Jing, and it's finite. Qi is infinite, Shen is infinite. There's all these energies we can be downloading from the natural environment, the universe, the earth, and so on. But your Jing is finite. And some people, unfortunately, are born with less. Some people are born with more. Okay. But when we start doing these practices and we start to clear the trauma out of the body so we can start moving, recycling the sexual energy, having these amazing multiple orgasms and feeding them back into the organs, right? What happens is that we refine the Jing. Okay, I'm curious, type in the chat, what happens when we refine our Jing? I'm really curious who knows this. I think at least a couple people here must know this. If nobody here knows this, I'm going to be shocked, because some people here work with me and they should. More energy, regeneration, anti-aging. Yeah. So if you meet like a lot of the Taoists that, you know, especially the women who've trained with Master Chia, and they'll be like, oh, I just had my birthday. And you're like, oh, you just turned 40. And they're like, I'm just turned 60. And you're just like, oh, okay. I mean, I like lost about 10 years backwards. I went 10 years younger within about 6 months of doing all this stuff, you know, and I feel like it's still just keeping me at a certain age. And that's what you're supposed to do when you're refining your Jing. You stay at a certain age. I mean, I can talk about this forever. I should do a whole masterclass on immortality because it fascinates me. But I want to get back to the kidneys. So when we have all these traumas blocking our kidneys, this is like literally blocking our life force in a really, really bad way. So yesterday we smiled to the heart, we smiled to the sexual center. Let's now shut our eyes and try to just open up your kidneys at the back a little bit and smile into your kidneys. And smile, sending love into your kidneys. I want you to just connect with the element of water and the blue color. And it's likely that as you do this, feelings will come up. Emotions will come up. Blockages will come up. Or you might just feel an amazing blue feeling just spreading through your whole pelvis, which is great as well. But as we're doing this, it's very, very common that we're going to connect with these traumas. So now I want you to just imagine your eyes are shut, and we're going to do something a bit like EMDR, except the Taoists did this thousands of years ago. So I want you to just look into your kidneys and move right, left, right, left, right, left with your eyes. And this, what this does is it kind of, it does a reprogramming of your body. Okay, and we're going to go in there and we're going to use this right, left movement to basically gather any energies that don't belong to us. And then you're going to open your eyes, you're going to bring your hands together, you're going to stretch forward so you really feel your lower back opening up. And we're going to make a sound that sounds like a wave breaking, but it's also like the word chew. I'm going to chew my food. It's like this. And then we're going to breathe in blue energy into the kidneys. Smile into the kidneys. Feel the blue energy growing and becoming lighter. And again, bring your hands together, lean forward and make the sound. And shaking off again. Smiling into your kidneys. Feeling that blue energy growing, and you can maybe feel it spreading up your spine, through your pelvis, through your sexual organs, even into your brain. And again, last time, lean forward, feel your back opening at the back and make that sound. Shake off again. And smiling back to your kidneys, I want you to visualize that beautiful blue energy just growing in your back. And just allowing anything to release there that doesn't belong there. Because removing these blockages, is key. I think once we've removed the blockages, we've done half or 2/3 of the work. And everything will start working again, naturally, like you saw the testimonial I shared yesterday, the one today. This was before working with sexual energy, that everything started falling into place. So imagine once you've cleared the blockages and then you bring in the sexual energy to amplify your system, heal your organs, and so on and so forth. How powerful is that? So just today, I have a hard cutoff. We have 5 more minutes. Are there any questions anybody wants to ask? So tomorrow, I'm going to have time to hang on for a little bit longer. And what I'm going to do is offer that at the end, the replays are going to get emailed out to you guys. That's like my team is sorting that out. So obviously you can feel free to private message me with any questions that come out of this. Yeah, like different kinds of energy can go up the spine. It's kind of like a meridian. But when we work with moving energy up the spine, once we've cleared the blockages in the body, first we move chi up the spine, and then we move the different forms of jing up the spine. How did you gain access to this information? Right, yeah. How did it all start? Honestly, it all started when I was at university for the first time studying law, and I was just having this terrible eczema all over my body. And somebody said to me, why don't you try acupuncture? And in those days, I was like, ha, 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 what a stupid needles in your body, like it's going to do anything. What a freak show, yeah? So, okay, how does the giveaway work? Message me on WhatsApp, and if possible, do screenshot this and stick it onto your Instagram story as well. Okay. Which I asked people to do yesterday. It would be lovely if you could do that, right? Just screenshot and mention us in your Instagram story, if you feel to do that. So I then started having, I went and had acupuncture, by the way, and in 3 weeks, this eczema that had been with me for God knows how many years was just gone. Now I'm just like, what happened to that? Wow. So I continued to see this acupuncturist, and I finished the law degree. I was like, man, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be a lawyer. This is really, and eventually I got on the one and decided to study Chinese medicine. And I was literally drawn to a Taoist school of Chinese medicine, but I didn't know what Taoism was. So I started studying it. I started learning about the 5 elements and energy and everything. And that was when I discovered Master Chia. And just to mention, I had all these energy blocks here from like a traumatic childhood, like I'd never had orgasms, and I explained this a little bit yesterday, but basically, I'd had all these different health problems and issues and everything. And I was trying to do one therapy for this, one therapy for that. Nothing was really, really working. I was in chronic back pain, getting sick all the time, like couldn't sleep properly. I was addicted to cannabis because I couldn't sleep properly. It was all like a big, big mess. All these different therapies and everything was just not working. And then I was like, I had enough. I'm giving this all up. But at least before I go, I want to have an orgasm, right? And that was when the universe landed the works of Master Chia into my life. I found out about the Taoist practices. I went and started finding different teachers, studying with different teachers. I've literally absorbed everything I could in the UK, ended up traveling to other countries to do different classes and different workshops, ended up going and doing instructor training with Master Chia, doing Tantra training, doing a lot of different body work. I mean, I would say the way that I implement this with my clients has a lot to do with my experience as a body worker, actually, because I really got to know bodies so well during that time. Basically, so because it was to go and you can go and do all these different workshops in all these different places, which are really, really great, but still it's not actually giving people practice, and I'd speak to people who were doing this for years, even decades, that were still having all these issues because they hadn't put the practices together in a way that was sort of eliminating the problems. So through trial and error, I've gone from a 6-week course to a 20-week course that's become more and more comprehensive, obviously through working with people, getting experience with people with what's going on and so on. So this is how it all happened. So, I mean, there's books here, but learning from a book is not the same as learning from a teacher. And sadly, one of my main teachers just passed away this year. It must have been very, very sadly. Oh, no, it was last year, but still, yeah. So I'm going to be opening at the end tomorrow to answer any questions, guys. And this has been beautiful. I've really enjoyed connecting with you guys and sharing energy and doing this practice. Feel free to reach out to me, any questions, and I'll see you tomorrow.